Welcome to this session, A Day in the Life of a Certified Legal Nurse Consultant. Today, I am going to give you the opportunity to kind of peer into a day in the life of 4 certified legal nurse consultants: Susanna Raj, Dale Barnes, Doreen Goldstein, and Robert Malayer. And Suzanne, I'm going to start with you. And I would love for you to just kind of give us an idea of what a typical day in the life looks like for you. Although I know there's no such thing as a typical day, but to the extent that you can, share with us what a day might look like.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Vicki. Yeah, typical day is never really a typical day for me, but typically I cannot start any day without coffee. So that's the first step. I roll out of bed and I get my coffee. Stretch a little bit. Normally I head right into the office. As the years have progressed, I require more sleep. So I have that flexibility to sleep as long as I like, or as little as I like. So I typically will, get myself going in the morning. I get into the office, check my emails, and just to kind of catch up from where the previous day left off. And I go from there. Usually there's projects pending that require my immediate attention, and those are prioritized. But inevitably, there's some urgent email that will at least, 3 or 4 times a week will come across my email, and I have to drop everything and I have to give my full attention to that project, and that becomes all consuming. Typically, my days will range from an 8-hour day to a 12-hour, 15-hour day, depending upon the urgency or any project that requires my attention. I also manage employees, so that also is part of my day. Some days more than others, and sometimes my days are more administrative than attorney project based. But it does vary, and typically that's what I do. My practice is a little unique because of the size and the amount of years I've been in practice. So, but the big picture is my typical day. I maintain control, and I maintain whatever flexibility I possibly can to have those power times to do the work that I need to do, and then, change gears and address other pending issues.
Thank you. I love that you said that you start the day for you, because that's very much my philosophy. I always start my day with a cup of tea, and I say I don't wake up for my business. I don't wake up for my man. I don't wake up for anyone but me, because that taking care of yourself is so important when you own a business. And that's a habit that I'm so glad to see that you've got. Also, I just want to kind of give everybody a perspective here, because some people might get scared off by hearing that you sometimes have a 12-hour day or a 15-hour day, but you're pretty ambitious with your business, and you have been, I think, from day one, ever since I've known you. And so do you feel like that's a choice that you made, that people can pretty much build the business the way they want to? If they want to work a 5-hour day or a 12-hour day, that's really up to them.
Absolutely. It is a choice. I think I am very ambitious, and I have always been of that kind of a work ethic, where long days, whether it was in clinical practice before being a CLNC or as running my own CLNC business. So it doesn't have to be that way. And I don't want to scare anyone off, that's for sure.
All right. Robert, how about you? What's a day in your life as a certified legal nurse consultant look like?
Every day is different. I'm either in my office reviewing records, writing reports. I have subcontractors that work with me, where I'm always reviewing their reports and going over new cases, taking in calls, receiving records electronically, kind of getting organized with the new cases, and then shuffling cases back and forth between the subcontractors and back. Every day is a different, a little bit different on the scheduling part of it. Depends on when cases are due, when statute of limitations run, and working around court dates and depositions, because I do work as an expert witness. But every day is much different. I can't really say that one day is exactly like the next, and every case is a little bit different fundamentally, just from the records reviewed and what's going on with each individual case. But every day is an adventure and something new.
Thank you, Robert. How about you, Dale?
I have to say that, like everybody else, no 2 days are exactly the same. I do start out my morning with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and read the newspaper. I'm one of those old-fashioned people that still reads an actual newspaper, not online. And I do that, and then I kind of roll into my office. I will say that even though I'm home, I do get dressed every day. I don't go in my pajamas into my office because I don't want to feel like I'm lazing around the house. I am a professional. And if I end up on a Zoom, I'm really glad that I am not in my pajamas. So I get dressed, I put on a little makeup, and I look at the priority of things on my desk. There are cases that require immediate attention, and I take care of those. Some of those cases end up being put on hold for a while because they're waiting for more discovery. So I put those in another file, knowing they will be coming back to me. If I have in my plan to contact any attorneys, I do that in order of importance. And once in a while, I'll contact a new attorney. It's the last couple of years without being able to actually exhibit or be at conferences where there are a lot of attorneys. It's been fine for me to call people. And most of the time I've gotten their name from someone. So it's a foot in the door to be able to say, I got your name from so-and-so, because they're willing to talk to me. And sometimes I get new clients. Sometimes I get cases from the Board of Registered Nursing. They aren't actually legal cases yet, but they're complaints that have been filed. And after I submit my report, they will then decide what they're going to do. And I'll only know the end result if it ends up going to a hearing. And during the last year, I've done a couple of those on the court system, which isn't Zoom, but it's just like Zoom. And it's actually been fine. I was concerned about how testifying would be in a video situation, but it really was not terrible. They only had me come on at a certain time, just like I wait outside at the courthouse until they call me in. It was the same thing. And I was ready to go. I always take a break in the middle of the day. I try to eat something, walk the dog, do something to get a little exercise and fresh air. And then I'm back to it. And I would say on a really, really light day, maybe I'll work 4 hours. On a really, really busy day, I'll work 8, 12 or more hours. It depends on what my deadlines are, when reports are due, or anything else. Sometimes I'm asked to participate in producing demand letters, and they have a form that, that they give me and tell me what they're looking for money-wise, and I do those. I have found that I can talk to the attorney on Zoom or FaceTime about what kind of report they want, what kind of report they need, so that I can give them exactly what they need. And I can email them a sample case, so that they can see what it actually looks like. And I always try to make it apples and apples. I don't want to send an attorney a defense medical case that I've worked on if what they do is bad faith insurance, because I want to make sure that all of that gets put in the right place and that when they're looking at it, it makes sense to them. And I field questions. I've used some subcontractors, and I work with them. But for me, the most important thing about my day is, to me, it's fun. It's not work. And I feel like Columbo putting the puzzle pieces together to figure out some of these cases. And as I've told Vicki many times before, I have no desire to retire. I just really enjoy what I'm doing, and I'd like to keep doing it.
Yeah, I love hearing that. That's one of the best things to be able to love what you do, and it's not really work for you. You actually gain fulfillment and enjoyment. There's nothing like that in the whole world. I wish that for everyone. Doreen.
All right. My typical day, like Suzanne and Dale, I also enjoy coffee in the morning. So I start with my coffee, and then I have a very different practice. So for myself, what I do is I take time for me. I work out, I do something, I spend about an hour, hour and a half on me. I shower, and then I come sit down at my desk. And the first about 30 minutes of my work day is spent on marketing. I look at who I've sent letters out to, who I need to follow up with, what emails I need to send, like Suzanne and Dale were saying with the emails, what reports are due, like Robert, I have a case tracker that I follow. So what is due this week? What can I put aside? And then it's usually lunchtime, best time of the day. So I have lunch, I go for a walk for a little bit, and then I come sit back again. My husband is also self-employed, so we spend a lot of time in the evenings in the office. This is our combined office. And I'll spend some time at night also in here. I'm not a big TV person, so for me, this is kind of like a downtime. Another typical thing is, like, tomorrow I'm flying to Florida again to go see my daughter. So while my work day is very different tomorrow, I will catch up on emails in the morning, and then I'll work on the plane for 3 hours. So it's very flexible. I guess, like you said, it's not really a typical day, Vicki. It's just kind of what we do, but it's great. I agree with Dale.
Thank you, Doreen. Suzanne, what are some of the favorite things in your day? Like you mentioned going to trial. I know you have to work up a lot of cases. Do you have any favorites?
I think my favorite part of my day or task, really, because it varies, is when I can review a plaintiff's demand or mediation brief, and I can prepare a substantive rebuttal to the allegations and feel confident that the clinical argument can be supported. And so whether I do that as a CLNC consultant or verbally when I'm in trial or in preparing for a deposition or speaking to my client in preparation for my deposition, that gives me a lot of gratification, and it's one of my favorite tasks to do, because when you are required to respond in, whether you're working for plaintiff or defense, I might say, so whether, depending on whatever side, if you're asked to respond to a demand letter and you can feel good about it, you have laser focus, and everything else on your docket is by the wayside. You're so zeroed in to that. It's the best part. It's the best part of my practice, because everything else just, fades away in my brain, and I'm all in. And that's what I like most.
Anything that we can focus on with 100% concentration, that is usually a really feel-good kind of experience, isn't it? Yeah, we all love to get our mind on that one thing. How about you, Robert? Do you have any favorites in your day?
I really enjoy the new cases and the new attorneys. That's one of the best things that I enjoy doing. The calls or the emails come in from someone that's been referred by one of the attorneys I work with on a regular basis. Having that new contact, setting up that new case review and seeing what kind of cases they do and having that new contact, I really enjoy that. I'm personal friends with a lot of the attorneys that I work with now, that I have worked with the past 6 years. So making that new contact, I'm very much a people person. And I enjoy, because I do work from home. And so I'm having those new contacts and learning more about them and doing that new workup. That I really, really enjoy that part of it. The other part I really enjoy the most is I'm not tied to home. And my wife is a realtor. And I own my own CLNC business. We can travel and go anywhere in the world as long as I have access to the internet. And I can do this job pretty much anywhere I'm at. And that's one of the things I love the absolute most is I can dedicate time to my 16-year-old son, be involved in his sporting and school events and things that he has interest in, as well as do what I need to do at home for this job, and then be a father and a husband as well. And I'm not tied to a 12-hour shift at a hospital. I love the flexibility of being able to be me. And that is probably the highest priority thing that I do in this business.
Yeah, that's great to hear, Robert. How about you, Dale? Any favorites?
Well, when I finally find, a red flag and I'm able to figure it out and put it together, it's that aha moment when you say, here it is. And I like being able to do that and saying to the attorney, I found the answer here, and because sometimes it's really hidden. But I love being able to do that. I love the fact that if I have things to do during the day, I can work at night if I choose to. I was just in Arizona. I did some work from there. And it's perfect, because there's the flexibility, time to take care of yourself, and time to focus on, okay, where are you going to find the secret in this case and put it together.
And how many years have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since 1999, a long time.
Right. And you still get excited. And that's what I really love about you.
I do.
Still get excited. All right, Doreen, any favorites?
Aside from working when I want, where I want, the biggest thing is, and I never thought I'd say this, but research. Like finding out what exactly thoracic outlet syndrome is and how it can be caused from certain injuries. And yeah, I think it's the new learning in the research.
It's kind of fun to get paid to learn too, right?
Yes.
So it is a constant education, that's for sure. Suzanne, I know that you did talk about having that flexibility and that's important to you. How has it served you in your personal life? I mean, would your life be different if you didn't have it? I mean, in what ways has it really made a difference?
Well, it certainly has made a difference to make me more available for my family. And especially as the years have gone by, like Dale, I've been doing this since '99 as well. And my kids were very, very young at that time. And as much as it was hard, balancing when they were so young, now I'm on the other end of the spectrum. 2 out of 3 are married, I have a granddaughter. But now my time is focused on my elderly parents. So I think that the flexibility has impacted my life such that although I might be pulled in a lot of directions within my CLNC practice, I can also provide and be who I need to be for my family when that is required, and more so now than ever. So I'm very blessed and thankful that I have committed myself to this practice.
Thanks.
It really, it's an emotion. It's always emotional. I'm always the one who cries. But I'm very blessed, honestly, to have a CLNC career and business that affords me that ability to be there for my family when I need to be. And so it's significantly impacted my personal life, because working in a hospital or in management as I was, where I'm 24 hours on call, back in the 90s and 80s, I wouldn't have had the ability to be the person that I needed and the mother I needed to be for my children if that had continued.
And I love that you have that gratitude, because, gratitude is what brings joy to one's life. And again, I've known you for decades now. And that's one thing I've always witnessed about you, is you just have this constant gratitude, almost like you can't believe that you have built this business that you have and that you've done with it what you have. And, gratitude is everything in terms of happiness. It truly is. Thanks for sharing that. It's
Sure.
Really sweet.
Thank you.
All right. So Doreen, one thing I heard you say, and I've actually seen you do it because I've visited you there in Cape Cod, is go work in your backyard. You have a pretty fun backyard. And so that's an aspect of flexibility also. It's not just about hours, it's about where you're working, the environment that you're creating. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. When I started, my kids were younger also. I'm younger than Suzanne and Dale. Sorry, guys. As far as experience also, I started in 2001 and my children were younger, and it was a lot of, gee, Abby has dance in Brockton, which is 2 hours away. So I need to work. I would bring my laptop. So I have done chronologies in various places. As long as you have a computer, you can work wherever. And I've also been fortunate enough to drop, like in a dime, drop things like Suzanne and go to Florida to take care of my grandkids when they've been sick. So it's just been great. It's been wonderful. And yes, I have a pool in my backyard with a covered deck. So I work out there a lot in the summer. Our summers are short here on Cape Cod. I try to enjoy the outside and the weather as much as I can.
Robert, one thing I want to ask you about is, how do you make sure you don't get in a rut here? What do you do to avoid that?
I think the coolest thing about doing this job is I don't really feel like I've worked a day since I started. I absolutely love waking up in the morning. It's something new. It's something that intrigues me. It wasn't like I'm having to get up and go meet the man, at work. I enjoy being my own boss. I enjoy the work that I do. It's always, like we said earlier, it's something new. It's something different every single day. When you work for yourself, you're reaping the benefits and the rewards of what you're accomplishing. And that's financially as well as personally and professionally. You kind of reap the rewards on all and each one of those individual levels. To stay out of a rut, that can be something that you have to address from working at home, because you're working in an office by yourself. I always try to set aside time to do contacts, reach outs, especially with my subcontractors. I set aside very specific time to get out of the house, go do fun things. I have a couple of favorite restaurants that are not so healthy, but they're fun and cool. And so I make time to go do those things. I love to fish and do other things like that. And so it's just making time to focus on you and your own personal health, as well as the health of your business. I think those two things coincide together very much and are just as important individually as they are collaboratively, to make sure you're taking care of you as well as you're taking care of your business.
Dale, you've been at this for decades. What do you do to get out of a rut or stay out of a rut?
Well, what I do is, like, for example, I just went to Arizona for 2 weeks. My kids were gone over the holidays. So I had their house to myself, and it was a change of scenery. It was a change of environment. And the 2 weeks went by so quickly, I couldn't believe it. And there I was, just me and the 2 dogs. But it was, a great thing to be able to do and just spend some time with me. I did do some work, but I didn't feel as pressured. And it was lucky that I went at a time where I didn't have a lot of pressured items on my to-do list. And during the day when I'm home, what do? Like I said, I go out for a walk in the middle of the day or something like that, just to get fresh air. It's not 10 degrees here, Doreen, but it is chillier here than it normally is. And it was really cold in the morning in Arizona. But I get out, try to breathe some fresh air through my mask, and just take advantage of having the luxury to do that. And, not punching a time card, not having to report back to somebody. It's very nice.
Thank you, Dale. Suzanne, go all the way back to when you were working inside the healthcare system. And what was different about that versus what you do now?
Oh, a huge difference. You are accountable to others and to your boss, to your employer at all times. You don't have the flexibility to implement your own protocols or procedures, or what time you clock in and what time you clock out. So there's a huge difference. I mean, I kind of jotted down some words that trigger for me about the differences between working in the healthcare system and working for yourself. Flexibility, as you've heard all the way around here, we've all mentioned the flexibility, the autonomy, the accountability. I mean, now, if you don't want to work, you're accountable to yourself. If you miss your deadline, you're accountable to yourself. Yes, you're accountable to your client, but how's that going to serve you? So accountability and enjoyment. I mean, I love being a nurse, and I cannot say that it was an easy decision for me to leave the clinical daily practice because I enjoyed it, but it was a different type of hard work, as opposed, labor, physical labor, stress related due to constraints within the healthcare system. But I feel as a CLNC, I am still affecting and impacting clinical care. And I get a tremendous amount of enjoyment from that. So the enjoyment is a different type of enjoyment in terms of not doing patient care directly. But that's the main difference, I think, for me, are all of those things, autonomy, accountability, flexibility, enjoyment, that's not comparable to the healthcare system.
Thank you, Suzanne. So, Doreen, working remotely, this is a new trend out there, right, with the pandemic. And what I always find kind of fun and interesting is certified legal nurse consultants have been working remotely for decades, right? So we started a trend. And how did working remotely, especially in the beginning, alter how you dealt with your family? Like, I remember one time you told me about something your daughter said to you that I think had a lot to do with the fact that you were working at home.
Yeah, working from home and remotely, in the beginning, it was a little bit more difficult because the 3 kids were home. I had to put a door on the office, and it's a glass door, so I could see them, and they knew when the door was shut. I could look at them and say, don't come in, don't come in. So we had some rules to make. Working remotely, you have to treat it like a business. You have to treat it as real. Even my own husband, I'm in the office, I'm working today. I'm not going to do the laundry. I'm not going to go grocery shopping. So you have to deal with the distractions. And I think as nurses, we're very used to doing that. You don't just have one patient, you have 7 at a time. And so you're very distracted, but organized. And so that was a little bit of a easier transition, I think, is that part of it. The noise is a little bit harder. The dog will bark, the phone will ring, people will yell, when you're on conference calls. I'll never forget a quick story. I early on had my children in the car. I had an attorney on the speakerphone, and somebody started talking in the back. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm apologizing to him. He's supposed to think I'm working in an office." I said, "It's my children. They're in the car." He said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It happens to me all the time." So he made me feel better about, it's real. This is real. So yes, we are the trendsetters of working from home. I think it's a lot easier now for sure.
Definitely. And we've all become video conferencing experts. And one thing I like is the attorneys are starting to become expert at it also. They were the latecomers to that party. So Robert, what's your favorite thing about being a certified legal nurse consultant?
What's not to love? That's the question. What's not to love? Man, I love it all. I love everything about what I do. And if you've heard me once, I'll say this a million times, becoming a certified legal nurse consultant absolutely changed my life. It changed everything from financial security to, man, I literally love getting up in the morning, owning my own business, being able to do what I want, how I want, when I want. I spent 10 years in the military. When I came back to civilian life, I worked in administration or in management of some type for many healthcare organizations. And there were mornings I got up and I literally didn't want to go to work, but you have to. I have yet to wake up a single day in 6.5 years owning my own business and wanted to crawl back into bed. I absolutely love what I do. You are the feedback, the appreciation that we receive for what we do in this role from the different insurance companies and attorneys on both sides of the aisle for what we bring to the table. There is an appreciation and respect factor that I received doing this that I never received working in a clinical position. It felt like more of an expectation that you were just supposed to do your job without really the appreciation. I absolutely feel that every time an attorney calls me, and what we bring to the table is, I think, highlighted and appreciated at a greater degree. But most of all, man, what I love about being a CLNC is just the freedom it gives me. Again, and I can't express that enough. That is the single most important thing to me. The money's great, but at the end of the day, it's the freedom I have with my family, with my son, and the freedom I have to go and do the things that I want to do. And I'm not tied to a 12-hour shift for anybody else. What I do is for myself and for my family.
How about you, Dale?
The favorite thing to me about being a CLNC is I feel a tremendous amount of self-worth by what I bring to the table. And when an attorney says to you, "I couldn't do this without you," or "Can I refer you to my colleagues?" all I can think is, when on earth would a doctor ever say that to me? Never. So it really helps me feel I'm good at what I do, that I have some value, and that I'm doing some good. People often say to me, "Don't you feel that you're hurting the nursing profession?" And I don't, because if there's a case against a nurse, if I see, I'll fight for the nurse tooth and nail if I see that the nurse didn't do anything wrong. But if the nurse did do something that was egregious and hurt a patient, why would I want other nurses to do the same thing? That's not against nursing. That's being a patient advocate. So that's how I see it. And I love being able to be in those roles.
Thank you, Suzanne.
I'm sorry, but Dale took the words out of my mouth. I feel that I make an impact. I make a difference. I really do. And for whatever side you're working for, whether you feel there was something egregious that occurred, or something that's very defensible, that an accident occurred. I mean, mistakes innocently do happen. We see it every single day. No one's, it's far reaching for someone to intentionally do something to harm a patient. Very, very far reaching. Is there incompetency? Sure there is, but on the other, there's a lot more competency. So I feel that I made a difference, and I feel valued for what my clinical expertise, my research abilities, all of those things that we're able to bring to the litigation table that is above and beyond really what a physician expert can bring. Absolutely, physician experts are needed for the causation piece, but we have the ability to offer so much more and so much more depth and insight to the healthcare world that I feel insurance companies and attorneys and even the healthcare organizations as well that I've worked for directly in the risk side of evaluation and root cause analysis implementation and resolution. We bring something like nothing. You can't compare. It's almost like I can't articulate how much worth we bring. And that's what I love the most.
Thank you. Doreen?
It's an extension of what we do as nurses every single day. If you look at it that way, as far as, our ability, every one of us went into nursing to take care of people and to help people. And, we're doing the same thing. And it's been an amazing 20 years for me. And yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. It just has made me a much better person. And yes, my daughter at the time did say I was happier, and I must love what I do because I'm a better person for it.
Yeah, what a sweet testimony from your daughter. Well, thank you, Suzanne and Dale and Robert and Doreen, for giving us a glimpse into a day in the life of a certified legal nurse consultant. And now that you've gotten this glimpse, definitely, if you want to know more about legal nurse consulting, please contact the Institute or take a look at the website, legalnurse.com. And thank you very much for joining us all here today.